this idea that you can vet your way out of abuse or vet your way out of ending with somebody who's going to end up abusing you, it's just more victim blaming. And I know y'all think y'all are trying to help people, but you're just trying to make it seem like a person can know exactly what to ask for and look for to prevent an abuser from being in their lives.
There is no list. There's no list. And I know that's the worst news because it feels like there's no hope in that. Like, how can I ever date men knowing that any of them can kill me? I know that is such a hard reality to swallow. And I'm not saying you can't date men. You can't keep trying. You have to give up on love. But you must accept this truth that any of these men at any point could kill you. So go watch that video. It's one of my mutuals. And go follow. And I'm also going to tag some of my other mutuals who talk about this a lot. And it's not to say that awareness isn't really important in terms of red flags, what to look for. Like that's why I make so many of my videos being like, hey, if he's doing this, this, and this, keep an eye on it because this is not a great sign. And then at the same time, I make videos all the time being like, there's no list. And people are like, wait, which is it? It's both. It's important to educate yourself. That's just why I do so much on my page, telling stories, what to look for. In fact, one of my best friends is a family and marriage therapist. And in all of her training, she said that literally going to school for this stuff, she still actually uses my stories to help with her clients in terms of like the more subtle things to look out for with abuse. Also gotten that message from somebody I don't know on my website being like, you have no idea how many people I send your TikToks because you show what it looks like. That's why I think education in school and also listening to survivor stories is critical to understanding all the ways that men can do this. And not just men, right? It's not always men, right? We know regardless of gender, anyone can be an abuser. I just happen to focus on men on my page because that was my experience. And because of patriarchy and statistics, it is usually men. And so to date without so much of this knowledge, you're already set up to fall for their tricks. You were already going out there with so many strikes against you, which is what I did. I had no idea what narcissism was, what it looked like, what abuse was, what that looked like. I didn't know someone could lure me in by eating that. Oh wait, that's my cougar hat. I just got a cougar hat. The other one says, But they can lure me in with that and then withhold it as a power move. I didn't know that someone controlling what I eat or purposely saying that they're trying to fatten me up so no other man would want me, that is a huge red flag for abuse. Something that so many men do. I didn't know that someone texting me all the time was a bad thing because I didn't have any dating experience. I didn't know any of these little subtle things. Or that making me wear a fake wedding ring. Like, I knew that was messed up, but I didn't realize that is about a man thinking that he should possess me. Okay? So one of the reasons why I do my content is to show examples that you may not read in books. You know, you may not, if you go to a course, they may not teach you this because there's so many ways. I didn't know that a man peeing on me in the shower is such a common experience of women who are with abusive men. Apparently, they do this a lot. Peeing on you when you don't even know it. So things like that are important. And at the same time, you can have all these things that you're looking out for and you still get fooled. Because as Lorraine, one of my mutuals, says all the time, they could do a switch up 5 years in, 10 years in. Does that mean there weren't any red flags? Maybe some of it was your unresolved or unhealed trauma from your past, not seeing these. It doesn't mean that they were just perfect. Yes, it is empowering for me to realize that there were so many red flags that I willfully ignored because he ate my really well and because I'd never had a boyfriend and I felt like such a loser at the age of 36 and why not, what's the worst that can happen and blah blah blah, right? It gave me a little bit more hope when I went back out into the dating world to realize that I did miss some red flags, that my intuition had not been wrong about that dude. But that was this one situation. That is not always the case because let me tell you what happens. A lot of time men or people change as a result of something big happening in their life. A lot of men will become a completely different person once a child is born. That happens all the time. Such a great husband, and then once a child is in there, are awful. Even if they're not abusive, just awful. A lot of times, maybe they lose their job. Have you ever dealt with an unemployed man? They are not fun to be around. And if they aren't using tools that will help them through that situation, they can oftentimes become abusive. Do you know what I mean? Like, you can't control. What if they get a disability and you are their caretaker? Then they verbally abuse you for the rest of your life. They prey on your caretaking conditioning as a woman. What if they go broke and lose all their money? Sometimes people do not reveal themselves until huge things happen. And even regardless, even if it, whatever, the whole point is for people to think that there is a magic list that will protect you from ever being exploited or abused by a man. Not only is it delusional and dangerous for you to think that, it is victim shaming. It is victim blaming. And so I'm happy to share some of the things that I did to vet, but there is no rigid rules. There's no blueprint. There is nothing that will protect you. And if I did give you a list, you would probably use things on the list to discredit a man that's amazing. Because even any list itself is contextual. We know by now that in terms of anything, you can have bottom lines, you can have non-negotiables, but there's no list. There's no list, there's no magic trip. And that's why a lot of dating coaches, if they insist on a list of things, that's like a diet for dating. In my experience, especially coming from eating disorders, diets didn't work for me. I had to get in touch with my intuition and learn how to feed myself. Because rigidity in my life in general, like rigid, that is just playing into all of the things I'm trying to not do anymore. Because a lot of those are based on like black and white thinking, this is good, this is bad, and almost a violently binary way of thinking. So I'm going to continue to give y'all tips, things to look for to help educate, but I will never give you a list. But what I can encourage is for you to build your community, and find friends who are brave enough to be honest with you, so that when you are in a situation, in a relationship, and you start questioning some things, you can have somebody who you trust, who will help you see the truth when all your trauma responses, or any codependency, any, triggers, or any gaslighting or whatever from that person is like a bullhorn in your ear. Those people will help you see what's true, what's false. Even still, you may not listen to them. You may end up in a terrible abusive relationship anyway. Also, do you love I just got this and I'm not going anywhere, but I wore this just to feel pretty because that's what I am.